do want to take a few minutes. I think it would be tone deaf not to talk about the Supreme Court ruling and the nullification of Roe versus Wade. I posted a statement on Instagram, and you know, it's its own microclimate, each person's group of followers, and so most people agree with what I had to say, which is I framed it as a separation of church and state issue, because we can pretend all we want that these opinions are not informed by religion, but they are. And I don't begrudge anyone the right to adhere to their religious beliefs, but that includes me and all of us. And I don't think we should begrudge anyone, including ourselves, of the right to adhere to our religious beliefs. And there are times when Judaism is pro-choice. There are times when it is not. It's a nuanced decision. Okay, let's go to verse 12. 21, 12.
Okay.
And just to save time, I'm going to read. He who fatally strikes a man shall be put to death. If he, and by man, obviously we mean a person. If he or she did not do it by design, but it came about by an act of God, meaning sort of accidental in some way, I will assign you a place to which he can flee. So there were these 7 cities of refuge where people who accidentally killed another person could flee so that the family wouldn't take revenge or take justice into their own hands. But generally speaking, murder is a capital offense. Now we'll go to verse 22. When men fight and one of them pushes a pregnant woman and a miscarriage results, but no other damage ensues, the one responsible shall be fined according as the woman's husband may exact from him, the payment to be based on reckoning. Okay? Now, this is the foundational juxtaposition of texts that informs the Jewish position on abortion, because it establishes the fact from a Jewish perspective that the status of the fetus is not the same as the status of a human being, of a living human being. If you murder someone, it's a capital offense. If you cause a miscarriage, it's a fine. It's not nothing. It's important. It has gravitas, but it is subordinate to human life. That is the most basic guiding principle for what we call halakha, Jewish law, when it comes to abortion. Now, many of you know that Jewish law was developed over 2 main periods. One, of course, the Torah. The second, what we call the rabbinic period, which was from roughly about the year 0. We know the Mishnah was codified in the year 200. So from, let's call it the year 0 in the Common Era until about the 7th century. Okay, that's the second major, and that's where we get Talmud, commentaries, Midrash, etc. So what happens to this basic principle when it gets into the hands of the rabbis, who were more deliberative and studied and adjudicated nuance? The first thing is that abortion could never be classified as murder. The fetus was not believed to have a soul, nefesh, or a neshama, until, as Rashi puts it, it comes into the world. And the way the rabbis defined that was when the head and shoulder had exited the birth canal. In other words, when the baby could breathe. The word, as we know, for soul in Hebrew is the same as the word for breath. When was abortion allowed? Clearly, if the mother's life was in danger. Because the mother has a soul. The fetus does not. Now, the other thing that happens is in the 6th century, oh no, I'm sorry, not 6th century. In the 16th century, 1500s, a rabbi in Germany named Jacob Emden makes a ruling based on a case of a woman who became pregnant as a result of incest. And he allows the abortion, saying that for her to have to give birth to this child and raise it and have it in the world would cause psychological danger to the point of endangering her death. And this is the first time we know of that a rabbi now rules for in favor of something that I think technically we would have to call non-therapeutic abortion, because the mother's physical life is not in danger. But his point is that her emotional state will be so disturbed that it could very well endanger her life. Mm-hmm. And now, we're talking 6 centuries ago. And from that point on, rabbis have factored this into their decision. Now, what does this not mean? This does not mean that if you have a Tay-Sachs baby or a Down syndrome baby or triplets, unless your life is in danger giving birth to triplets, it does not mean that, according to Jewish law, that abortion would be warranted, because Judaism does not assign any relative value to life. All lives are of equal value. Whether you have some kind of debilitating disease or not, your life is of equal value. So anybody who says to you, oh, Judaism's in favor of abortion, or Judaism is diametrically opposed to abortion, neither is true. It's a nuanced understanding. And the answer, I guess, to like most Jewish questions is, it depends. I really, so often when people ask me a question about Judaism, I start with, it depends, because it does. And that's the beautiful thing about our faith and our legal system. So that's sort of really just a primer. That's just 101. If you want to know more, there's tons of stuff on the internet that you can drill down into yourselves. But we certainly differentiate, and there is no way under Jewish law or the Jewish perspective that abortion could be perceived as murder.